jumping on today to have a chat with you about inertia. So I wanted to see if this video prompted any ideas from you as to how the gaps might be filled in, essentially. See where it goes. Galileo was the first one to be coming up with any ideas really about what inertia might be, and he was looking at his apples or balls or whatever he was looking at and deciding that they wanted to be still. Inertia was the desire of an object to be still. So within the light cone range, that's stationary. Later Newton comes along with the same apples and the same balls and the same bits, and he speculates, hypothesizes, and ultimately gives evidence for the fact that the ball or the object wants to be at the same height as it originated when it's in motion. And that's another end of the scale altogether, really. So in this example then, which you've seen on the amazing physics videos where people are sending balls over all sorts of tracks, squirrely ones and curved ones and so on, and the ball will run and get to its height and then run back again and get to its height faster than one that's going in a straight line, which is very weird. But essentially what you've got here is this motion which it wants to be at, and if it wants to be in motion, i.e. attaining its height again, then it's wanting to stay outside of the stationary zone and the light cone. For 2,000 years this ruled the roost, this version of inertia or response to stimuli, with an assumption that the particle or the object wanted to maintain a static, at-rest state. And for 2,000 years we've had Newton's version, where we know that the truth is that the object or the particle wants to maintain its height. It wants to reach a point of origin in terms of the height that it started from. Because it took 2,000 years to get to the point of seeing a ball rolling downhill thinking that it wanted to get to the bottom and stop, and seeing a ball rolling on a track and realizing that it wanted to continue to maintain its height, are two very different ideas. This is oscillation of the neutrino. We have the neutrino changing state from one flavour to another. It could be an electron to muon or to tau or whatever. Anyway, they are the three known flavours, and the neutrino will oscillate between them as it flies. This is another helix. This is the DNA helix, and it looks a little bit like a worm on this diagram, but you have to forgive that. The double helix of the DNA strand is quite familiar to us, and those little things that connect, they are changing all the time. They are changing their structure in response to information that we are gathering physically about the world around us, our experiences, the things that we go through. This little mass of worms here is the quark sector. Essentially, it's a whole tangled up set of oscillations going on, and by what medium? Because we know gluons are involved. That was Wordley. Yeah, so come here, Wordley. Come and say that. Come here. Look at it. Come on. There we are. Wordley's doing very well, so I'm quite glad to be able to show him to you again today. And let him say hello, because last time he came on set he was definitely scruffier, not nearly as good Nick as he is now. So there's Wordley, doing great, very glad to say. Go on, Emily, go and sit back He's with me because he can't fly. So I've got a pet bird that can't fly. This happens in my house. Where was I? Oh yeah, quarks. Changing flavour, changing colour, moving from one thing to the other all the time by virtue of gluons, or virtual particles. So where is the gluon getting its momentum from? Where is the energy that is being exchanged here coming from? Well, you're talking about big variations in energy here, and you've got to remember that an up quark is just 2 MeV light. That's mega electron volts in my world. It's tiny though, it's very tiny. And the charm quark is 1270 MeV, which is pretty hefty. And then you've got the truth quark, which is 172 GeV, i.e. gargantuan. Now, it's not like us to go around questioning quantum mechanics in the terms of which it's known to be today. But we do have to take into account these many examples of the ways in which it can apply to our world, and how this energy transference system, the movement, the momentum of energy, and how it relates to us, are important questions to be answered. So we're asking them. This one, the oscillation of the neutrino that moves through us all the time in unfathomable numbers. The DNA strand that is constantly changing according to the information, the experiences that it ingests as part of our physical makeup. And the quark mass flux of flavour mixing that happens within us all the time. 27% of us anyway, fluxing and mixing into different versions of itself constantly. So these things relate to us. And the questions have to be asked because those questions in themselves relate to us. In our world, inertia means really feeling the forces of our surroundings conspiring against us to push us into a low state of energy. That seems to be the way we would interpret inertia in the human context. Where does that fit in the extrapolations here? Well, Paul Guilfoyle, famous for being in CSI as Brass, if you're old enough to remember him, he said in a Boston University lecture to the students, of whom he was once one, beware the demon inertia. And he was referring to that state of mind that can grab us all at some point or another in our lives, whereby the circumstances crash in to such an extent that we end up doing nothing. This light cone affair that we see so commonly in physics papers is describing positive time, i.e. time moving in the forward motion that we're familiar with, and reverse time, or time that is flowing in the opposite direction. And because we have this time reversal going on, and we also have this inverted mass hierarchy going on in the neutrino field, and because we don't know whether this tau neutrino is gargantuan at 10.6 GeV or whether it's lighter than the other two by the same amount. This is a problem. Mass hierarchy ordering systems in neutrino physics. Nightmare. If we look at these two paradoxes, we see the difference between Galileo's version, the familiar one for 2,000 years ago, and Newton's version, which is the familiar one to us now. We can see that there are probably gaps in the equation, because this being more of an accurate version of parameters than this one still leaves open to interpretation where is the momentum coming from, what drives it. In quantum mechanics there are a lot of particle behaviours that we don't know how they're driven. Is this one of them? Does this correlate down to the subatomic level to create questions of where the energy comes from? Because When we can answer where energy comes from, then we're in a better position to move forward in understanding how that energy works. Is there a connection between the ancient histories of discoveries about inertia, gravity and so forth, the basic principles of physics, and the quantum mechanical conundrums that we're facing today? If you'd like to discuss things like this, come and join the group at Facebook, and find me elsewhere on the web. If you put Quantumology in your search engine, I'll be there somewhere. So, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And from Wordly and myself, bye bye. See you soon. Take care.